It's that time of the week again. It's time to glaze Wuthering waves because recently I was labeled a Kuro bot, and I do have to say it is an honor. Thank you. Thank you. Shout out to the Wuthering Waves community. Shout out to my day ones. Oh, and shout out to Hoyerverse for having zero talent to balance a video game.
Do you honestly think you're fucking funny?
But anyways, if you've seen my last video, you would know that I do have criticism for Wuthering Waves. But today I'm going to tell you all how Wuthering Waves has avoided the brutal stigma of inevitable power creep and why Wuthering Waves will continue to separate itself from garbage games and gacha games like Genshin Impact. This game has been out a little over a year now, and it's been on an upward trend lately, so much so that the game is more popular now than it's ever been. Some of the characters in Wuthering Waves have been making their way into mainstream media, especially Cardathea. She is definitely going to be a powerful character, but there could be some concerns about her power creeping the game. And while you could say there is some power creep in Wuthering Waves, it isn't as prevalent as it is in other gacha games. So today I'm going to restore or reaffirm your faith in Wuthering Waves that they'll keep character strength under control. Wuthering Waves since the beginning has been a game that prides itself on skill expression rather than no skill DPS checks. When inflating the HP of endgame boss enemies, it seems to be a scenario where the developers get lazy and don't know how else to increase the difficulty of endgame content. The reason why this is toxic for the game is because not only does it take longer to clear the fights, but to compensate for the HP getting higher, the devs will release characters that do significantly more damage than the last in order to combat the higher HP. Not only is this lazy, but it makes the game way less skillful, and there is no point to try in the endgame. The best thing to do with boss enemies in a game like this is to give them all different mechanics that challenge your reaction time or IQ, instead of challenging you to go this next week without eating because you spent everything you had on that last character with a global passive. Kuro has established that this is what they want to do with Wuthering Waves, making gameplay a lot more interesting and interactive. But in your case, it does suck because you can't clear endgame.
All yours. Come on, me.
Bruh. Are you fucking kidding me? What even hit me there? Bruh. Oh my god, bro.
The first limited 5-star character to ever be released in Wuthering Waves, Jian, isn't the best character in the Tower of Adversity, but he is very noob friendly and is still one of the best characters to use in Whimpering Wastes. Look at a game like Honkai Star Rail where you can tell who the most recent character was by looking at the top of the tier list, above everyone else. If you have attachment issues, I couldn't recommend that game to you in good faith, because I guarantee you those devs only look at the media once every 2 years. Now it's nice that they're finally buffing older characters, but they've not only taken too long to do so, it's taken them another 6 months since their initial announcement to actually implement the buffs in the game. I'm assuming they're just too busy counting money from their legal scam operation. Now you could say Yinlin, who was the second limited 5-star to be released directly after Jian, was worse than him, but she's actually still fairly decent because she's in the sub DPS category. She can be easily slotted into teams that need one, especially Jin C's teams, and she's actually still a best in slot character for Zhang Liao. Speaking of Jin C, she was released not much longer after Yinlin and still remains one of the top 3 DPS in the Tower of Adversity to this day, and also is still the best nuke DPS in the game, and I don't think that'll change anytime soon. Characters like Jinxie also have very versatile teammates, even if they don't necessarily have the best synergy. And a great example of that would be Canella, who has a very nice personality. There was complaints that she was too weak on release, but in reality, in a gacha game, that's a healthy release state for a character. Now, while I don't think Canella is weak, I think she is actually pretty clunky to play because her enhanced skill can get cancelled if you get hit while you're in the animation. But if you get used to her playstyle and you aren't using her as a main DPS, you can make it work really well. If you aren't going to take no for an answer, I do suggest you run the Havoc Eclipse set for her. Okay, fine, since you keep asking, I'll show you the build on mine then.
What?
And no, I didn't want an excuse to show off my cracked Cantarella. I just so happened to bring her up, and I know y'all really wanted to see her.
We do not care.
The thing is, I think it was very smart to release Cantarella how she was. Because one, it wouldn't have made any sense to make her better than one of the best free-to-play 5-star units, Carlotta, that just came out a patch or two before her. Most likely, her main role will be a sub DPS / sustain for Frolova, who we know is coming out in 2.5. So she most likely will get a lot stronger and possibly take the Shy Painter spot as the best backpacker in the game. But I'm confident that JJ will always be more versatile. If every character had higher damage multipliers than the last one, we would be normalizing pulling E1S1. Imagine having to pull an extra copy of a character and their signature weapon on top of that, but not just because you want to, but because you really like the character and want them to be able to function. And then if you want to take it a step further, imagine having to pull for their supports too. I don't want to have to pull for an entire team just to make a character feel usable, and on top of that, have that character get power crept in a couple of months anyways. But DG, just save for 6 patches in a row without pulling. Stop being so stupid and greedy. You're right, Timmy. I can't believe I didn't think of that. I take that back. But anyways, speaking of mediocre characters, Roshia was also criticized for the state that she was launched in, but will most likely be the best sub DPS in Whimpering Waste for a long time, due to her having the best grouping in the game. Kuro has decided to make specific niches for their characters so that they're more successful in the long run and can stand the test of time. With characters like Jian being a grouping DPS, Jinxie being a nuke DPS, and Ling Yang being worse than 4 stars. Speaking of 4 stars, while Wuthering Waves does lack 4-star character options, the options that are available easily compete with limited 5 stars. For example, a character like Mortefi uses coordinated attacks. Therefore, he's able to use the very powerful Empyrean Anthem set, as well as being the best in slot character for Jian. He's also a really good option for Jinxie, making him a very valuable 4-star. Sanhua, on the other hand, is an amazing character who's possibly the best and most versatile 4-star in the game. And the only thing holding her back from that is a little clown girl with a possessed suitcase. But you know what's even more terrifying than Pero? The mains of that character. You know who I'm talking about. Oh, you know who I'm talking about. She's definitely making a name for herself as the most iconic 4-star, but not for good reason. In reality, there's no need for this video, because she is the definition of no power creep. Winning a fight isn't even enough for these mains. They have to purposely handicap themselves to make the fight more fulfilling.
Something's wrong with him. That's not human, man. You're not regular, man.
Aside from her, the recently added Nightmare Echoes actually provide really good buffs for old units. This is yet another reason why I praise the Echo system, because this is a way to indirectly take care of power creep. Just this feature for Echoes alone makes power creep very improbable, because they can apply buffs directly to the Nightmare Echoes for characters like Yinlin and Roshia to get a buff. The Echo buffs being applied instantly in combat due to them being the Nightmare variant makes it so that the rotations are smooth and you don't have to deal with one of those clunky ass animations that take up 10 seconds. Now, as for the future of this game, I am confident Kuro will keep the power creep as tame as possible for at least the next year or so. The HP inflation hasn't been too much of an issue, although I do think the Tower of Adversity buffs have been cringe at times, chilling the new characters way too much, and making non-favored teams by the tower feel a lot worse. You obviously don't want to do something like this, because it will make players feel like they are 1, not good enough at the game to clear, and 2, it incentivizes you to pull for the character specifically on banner at the moment. And then when the tower buff goes away, your character feels like garbage all of a sudden, and then you realize you got scammed. The most recent TOA buffs for Chacona have been very good for her, but not too crazy to the point where it's unreasonable. But at the same time, as of right now in the game state, Chacona feels fairly awkward to play and doesn't have a teammate with perfect synergy. But I'm sure we all know at this point who that teammate is. The TOA buffs for Chacona look mid compared to the last buff we had. The most recent tower buffs for Zani did make her absolutely bonkers, and if Kuro does release more characters like her, especially characters that rely that much on a partner, I would be worried about something like that. But with Chacona on banner right now, from what we understand, Cardathea does not rely on Chacona as much as Zani Zani relies on Phoebe. Here's to hoping Zani is just a one-time thing as a character. Also, another thing before I forget, I would love for there to be more generalized echo sets in this game. Farming echoes sucks balls, and farming a set that basically has a character's name on it feels even worse. I feel like these kind of echo sets, especially like Moonlit Clouds, would help with power creep as well. I really want this in the game, so y'all are lucky if I don't mention this every single video. I'm confident, even if there was any form of power creep, it could be compensated by your skill. So that's right, that means you are gonna have to get better at the game. Yeah, I know you get one shot by holograms, and that's why you're afraid to do them. You can tell me, it's okay. Safe space, by the way. If you've watched this far, thank you so much. We're already halfway to 1,000 subscribers in less than 1 week of me consistently uploading, and that's insane to me. I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.